Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Van Drew, Ranking Member Crockett, Chairman Jordan, and Ranking Member Raskin, thank you for inviting me here today. In June, I'll mark my 33rd year of immigration practice. Many of the issues we'll discuss today have been constant during that period, though others are more novel. One constant is the power of the legislative branch to decide which foreign nationals should be admitted, which should be removed, and which should be detained. The executive branch is duty-bound to faithfully execute those laws, and until late, consistently did so. It was the refusal of the last administration to detain migrants whom it was required to remove, and its granting entry to those Congress expressly stated were inadmissible, that triggered the largest migration crisis in this country's history, and that facilitated the entry of nearly 8 million clearly inadmissible aliens, most of whom remain. Consequently, the center estimates roughly 15.4 million aliens subject to removal are in the United States today. Polls and post-election analysis indicate the 2024 election was a referendum on those policies, with the American people demanding the removal of those here illegally. The best proof of this support is the bipartisan passage of the Laken-Riley Act, the first law passed in this Congress, which constrained border and port releases, but more importantly, forced the executive to comply with Congress's criminal detention mandates. The Trump administration has responded with a three-pronged program to drive down the unauthorized population. One, a massive border security effort with Mexico's assistance. Two, high-profile operations to apprehend and detain criminal aliens in the interior. And three, encouraging those here illegally to self-deport. Many elected officials at the state, local, and federal levels have pushed back against interior enforcement, however. The Biden administration argued that strict enforcement impeded its efforts to advance, quote, equity for all, close quote, and many of the president's opponents appear to agree. They also argued that the means the administration is using to enforce the laws have created fear and disrupted communities. It's common for those wanted by the authorities to be anxious, but to the degree these operations focus on criminals for whom detention and removal is mandated, those operations make communities, and immigrant communities in particular, safer. Regardless, just last week, Arlington County, Virginia, site of a September 11th terror attack targeting the Pentagon, in which 184 innocent people were murdered, barred local police from notifying ICE whenever those local police arrest terrorists and human traffickers. Arlington is far from the only so-called sanctuary jurisdiction. Numerous officials I spoke to in California when I was there last month complained about the public safety implications of that state sanctuary law, SB 54, which hamstrings state and local officers in assisting ICE. By law, states and localities are barred from prohibiting their cops from communicating with ICE, and yet that is the purpose of many of those sanctuary policies. Likely the most short-sighted sanctuary schemes, however, attempt to bar ICE from detaining immigrants in state and private facilities in their jurisdictions. The upshot of such policies is that the agency instead must detain those aliens in more enforcement-friendly jurisdictions far away from their families and their attorneys. Respectfully, the heated rhetoric surrounding enforcement is endangering our immigration officers. 6 days ago, 2 men were arrested on a criminal complaint alleging they caused a car chase in downtown Los Angeles that impeded and endangered ICE officers. Just yesterday, in my home state of North Carolina, a man appeared in court on charges that he, quote, threatened to kill ICE agents and Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department officers if immigration enforcement actions did not stop, close quote. If this continues, people, ICE officers, members of the public, those who seek to impede immigration efforts are going to get hurt and possibly killed. But this rancor shows no sign of abating. The immigration laws mandate that certain aliens, criminals in particular, be arrested, detained, prosecuted, and usually removed. So long as those laws remain on the books, it's the duty of DHS to fully, faithfully, and yes, safely and humanely enforce those laws. Efforts to challenge such enforcement should be limited to Congress and the courts and in peaceful discourse and must not risk the lives of the officers themselves or the public as a whole. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.